Okay, what's up, fam? It's your boy Mike thePilot. I was trying to wait a few seconds there to see if anybody would join me live, but Thursday morning, don't really expect anyone to join me, but I want to jump on here, do this video real quick. If you can join me, I'm glad to see you. Just wanted to share some thoughts with the crew and the family, while I can get a chance in a moment to just really talk about some stuff that I think we're all sort of dealing with. And you know, some folks might not know why they're feeling a certain way they're feeling, but until you really understand some things, you can really put a finger on the emotions you're feeling and the foundation or the background or the origin to that feeling. So without sounding too difficult and too vague, I'm gonna jump right in here. So yeah, I came on Sunday. You know, as we know, Sunday was a very difficult day. I came straight from the golf course. I was actually on the 16th hole, just finishing up around the golf, and you know, it was a typical Sunday. And you know, late in the round, like I say, 16th hole, I got a text from my daughter, and you know, as we know, it was a very tragic, unfortunate accident that took Kobe, his daughter, and seven other people, basically, essentially 3 families. And that was a very tough day. And even as I look back on that video, I'm really surprised at myself that I was able to just, you know, do that. But that just really shows you sometimes you just have to do something when God leads you to do it, and not put a lot of thought into it. Because when I really look at that video, I know that was, you know, something beyond me, if I'll just leave it at that. So this is my first time coming back since then, and I'm really just, you know, wanted to drop some stuff on you guys as far as from my vantage point, things I've learned in my life, as to what we're all feeling. Now, first thing I want to talk about is that feeling that we all have that we lost somebody in our family. You know, I went to the credit union, and you know, the young lady was like, you know, yeah, I just feel like, you know, it was like family. You know, I've never met Kobe, but you didn't have to meet him. Just what you saw presented in public view is what you know, built your opinions on, and that kind of thing. But you know, you knew that he carried himself in a high manner. So what was that thing that we all sort of identified with in Kobe? And that's what I want to really speak to. You know, when we lose someone, we go through a grieving process, and there's that point where we want to get to, or that we get to, where we want to blame someone. So this is not about blaming anyone or who should have did that, or you know, what decisions should have been made other than that. We're not even talking along those lines. We're just strictly talking along the lines of just the loss of life. Now for me, it's very personal, because I've worked in the aviation industry for all my life, all my adult life, and I know some things behind the scenes that I won't even discuss in public, like right now, about, you know, what could have been the cause of the accident. But we'll just leave it at, you know, it was just their time, and it was God's will. So outside of that, you know, we won't even discuss the accident itself, but just the loss of life. Again, losing Kobe was like losing a family member. We're going through that grieving process. We want to blame someone. Okay, well, what we're really feeling and what we're identifying with is that loss of potential. Okay, and that's what we're really faced with. For the most part, we're grieving what was lost as far as Kobe, his daughter, what they had together, what the other families had together, the aspirations that those families would have had. But deep down, what we're all really sort of suffering and struggling with is the potential of what would have been. And that's what death does for some of us. And it always makes us say, well, what would have been? One of my favorite movies, some of you know, if you listen to me long enough, you know that one of my favorite movies is It's a Wonderful Life, but I can't remember the name of the characters in it. Well, I know George Bailey is the character, but the actors' names. But George Bailey contemplates suicide because he thinks that people would be better off, his family would be better off had he not ever been born. And then this angel shows him what life would have been like had he not been born, and how life would have been so much different just by the mere fact that he had not been born. So it's almost one of those things that we feel is that, okay, what would have been? I remember when I first lost a dear friend of mine, one of the questions that I struggle with and still struggle with to this day is what could have been, what could we have done? And that's the thing that we're all really suffering with, is that thought of what Kobe would have done in his life and what his daughter could have done in her life, what those other families could have done in their lives. Kobe, you know, his daughter could have been the first woman player to play in the NBA. There's no telling what could have been, and we don't know what could have been. And that's what we all struggle with, is that loss of potential and the loss of how did I put it earlier? I put it the loss of just unfulfilled potential. Yeah, that whole unfulfilled potential thing. And that's generally when we struggle with a lot of our problems, is when even in our own lives we could have done something more and we didn't, and we struggle with that. Man, if I had just pushed a little harder, that unfulfilled potential, or if we had have taken a different route, maybe the outcome would have turned out differently. What I'm saying here is this: what we're feeling is that sense of loss, that sense of unfulfilled potential. Now, how do we deal with that? Here's the best way I believe that we can deal with that. Because what we're feeling is a resonant, or is, and watching people like Kobe Bryant, Tiger Woods, you know, anybody that achieves on a very high level, what we're seeing is something that resonates within us. And that something, I'm going to go ahead and just say, is what I believe, what I personally believe to be a seed. I believe that God, if God created us in his own image, I don't believe that it's a physical image, but he created us to be great, okay? So he planted in each one of us a seed to be great. And that seed has to get watered and nurtured and cultivated and grows from within us that allows us to become great at who we are. If you were to talk to me 10, 15 years ago, when I was really where I feel I was at the highlight of my career, I would have told you I was one of the best at what I do. I may not say I'm the best, but I would tell you I would tell you emphatically that I know for a fact I'm one of the best at what I do, because that's the way I went after my craft. And that's what we all have to do in our own way. We all have our own lane to stay in. We all have our own unique ability and purpose and calling, if you will. And you'll hear people say it different ways, but it all comes back to the same thing. Each one of us has something in us that can make us great. And it's about cultivating that. And nobody can do it for you. You have to do it for yourself. You have to put in the work, okay? If you look at Kobe studied Michael Jordan, okay? If you look at the whole story, I mean, just think about Jordan. Jordan was driven by what? Because he was cut at his high school basketball team, and it drove him the rest of his life. And then doing things the way he did, Kobe watched that and mimicked him. And I like to go back to a phrase that one of my mentors, you know, from afar, said years ago. You know, it's okay to be a copycat as long as you copy the right cat. You know, you gotta know how to, you know, because that's how we learn. That's how we really we mimic what we learn. Okay. So it's okay to be a copycat as long as you're copying the right cat. So in Kobe's case, Kobe literally modeled his whole game after Michael Jordan. And then what you find there is the younger kids that are coming up now that mimic their game after Kobe, indirectly they're mimicking the game of Michael Jordan. And that's how that legacy lives forever, if you will. Okay, that's how we live forever. That's how our legacies live forever. When we work in such a way, and the best form of flattery is for someone to say they want to do something like you did it, or are doing it. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to say here is the way we all deal with this is, yes, we'll mourn Kobe. We'll mourn the loss of that, the loss of potential of his daughter, the loss of potential of all the other family of young girls that were taken in that tragic accident. We'll mourn that. But the best way we can deal with that, and the best way you can deal with it, is to seek to find your unique purpose. Okay, seek to find that thing that you can do, that you are in the top 10% of people who do it. You know, I still say, I'm not used to, but I still say, I know for a fact, I won't say I'm the best at what I do, but I know I'm in the top 10%. So no matter how you count the numbers, if it's 100 people, I'm one of 10. If it's 1,000 people, I'm in the top 100 people. Okay, but you seek to do the same thing. You seek to be the best at what you do, and in doing that, that's that legacy. That's that Mamba mentality that Kobe talked about. That's Mamba mentality. Okay, really, it comes back to doing what? Being the best that you can be. That's really what it comes back to. It comes down to being the best that you can be. And you know, if you want to look at other people, how other people do things, and you say, okay, this is how they do it, that's how they do it, that's fine. But then put your own little twist on it and make it yours, and you make it again yours. Then that's how we live with the pain. Is we know that we're somehow fulfilling our destiny and our greatness. And I think it's only when we are not fulfilling our greatness, and we deep down realize that there's some unfulfilled potential within us that we would potentially take to the grave with us if we were to go. You know, they say one of the most valuable pieces of real estate in the world is the cemetery, because most people take their greatness to the grave with them. You know, you do not want to take what God, the talents and abilities and potential that God gave you, back to the grave with you. You want to try to leave it all on the court. You want to try to leave it all on the court, and that's what it's really all about. Leaving it all on the court. When your final day comes, and you can say, "Hey, I left it all on the court. I gave it all I had, and that's all I could do." You know, and then you've done what you can do, and then you've lived like a Michael Jordan. You've lived like a Oprah Winfrey. You've lived, even though you didn't do the things they may have done, had the money or all these other things, but you had the personal accomplishment, same accomplishment that they had. You lived out your greatness. Okay, so I hope that'll help somebody out there. You know, y'all hang tough. It's going to be tough. I saw my man Fred Whitfield down in Charlotte the other night. I went down for a Hornets game, and I said to him, I said, man, I know this has got to be a tough week, you know, for you guys. I mean, you know, these guys are close, and at the end of the day, they're people, you know. So, you know, you all continue to pray for Kobe and his family, the family. Forgive me that I don't know the other families' names, but pray for those families. Pray for all of those who are suffering and mourning the loss, and just understand again, the best way we can memorialize not just Kobe, it ain't even about memorializing him, but just really fulfilling our destinies, and at the same time memorializing that Mamba mentality is to be the best at what we do. Okay, seek to find and be the best at what you do, and then put in the work. You got to put in the work. Now that's where a lot of us fall short, is we don't want to put in the work. You know, if it means reading books, if it means, you know, going to the library, if it means whatever it might mean. But you know, for me, going to the library is the same equivalent to Kobe going to the gym. I got to go to the library to put in the work I got to put in, like he would have to put in to be who he was. So if I'm not willing to do that, then I can't expect to rise to that level that in my own lane that Kobe rose to in his lane. So that's all I'm saying here, y'all. Identify your unique purpose, and then relentlessly pursue it. You hear us say relentlessly pursue it. Yes, relentlessly pursue it as if your life depended on it. You have to. That's how you have to relentlessly pursue. Your what you truly feel to be your calling in life. At that point, when you identify that, you have to relentlessly pursue it with everything within you, as if your life depended on it. Okay. So again, I hope that helps somebody. As always, I love you all. Y'all be safe out there, and I'll come back at you soon. Peace.